So here we are talking about strategy. We are talking about the corporate value. The board, right? The board of the company has this duty to chart the corporate strategy, develop this core value. Right? A4 talk about communicating the fair dealing outcomes as a priority for the financial institution. Right? So you must have a strategy, you must align it to the dealing outcomes, and more importantly, communicate, right, as this is a priority for the financial institution. All right? So these are all non-sales indicators, non-sales key performance indicators. Then again, illustrate 10.1c gives you an example, all right, how to have organization-wide fair dealing culture. And the A5 talks about the monitoring of the implementation of the strategy. And here I just want to draw your attention to 5.23, 5.23. The board and senior management should ensure that the financial institution establish a management information framework. Underline that. Management information framework to measure, right? So this is quantitative, right? To measure and monitor achievement of fair dealing outcomes. Right? So this is a serious part. Right? You need to implement your fair dealing strategy. You need to implement your core value. And then in order to implement, you must have feedback. Right, to see whether it has been properly implemented, and if so, how well implemented, and if not, then what can be done to make sure that the strategy is implemented correctly and properly. All right, 5.23 provide you with some guidelines, include monitoring complaints trends. All right, how many complaints come in a week, the nature of the complaints, conducting customer surveys, mystery shopping, and preparing compliance reports. So all those are the implementation issues, all right, where you need to address. Then 10.1d at the box there give you another illustration. And A6 provide you with key issues for self-assessment. So here I just want to give you a flavor. 5.24 says, how do the board and senior management lead the financial institution in delivering the fair outcomes to its customers? All right, how? All right? So how do they develop this culture? How do they develop this set of corporate values in order to make the corporate value a key priority for the financial institution? All right, our executive responsibility clearly assigned. All right, so they need actual action plans. All right, action steps, as it were, to see how this corporate strategy is being implemented. All right, it's not just a paper exercise. All right. And then you get 5.2 say, how do the board and senior clearly communicate to internal and external holders? All right, the internal and external stakeholders. All right, the message that delivering the fair dealing outcomes is a priority for the financial institution. And then how do the board and senior management measure and monitor the achievement, all right, of the fair dealing outcomes? All right, fallen short, what can be done? Right? So that is in terms of outcome number 1. It goes to this guideline, like for example B, fair dealing outcome 2. All right, financial institutions offer products and services available for their target customer segments. Again, the rationale is given there. I do not want to go into the details for you. You look down the page, you can see 5.28, the rationale for this particular outcome. All right, B2 talk about conducting product due diligence. Why? Because we are talking about product and services. All right. So has the institution conducted the proper due diligence regarding a particular product? Right. For example, the Lehman Brothers issue, right, the subprime mortgage. All right. History tells us that there was no proper product due diligence done on the subprime mortgage issues. So this particular fair dealing outcome talks about the products and services that are suitable for their customer segment. All right. So it's, for example, you have a structured deposit product. Right. You must identify the segment of the customers, right, that can actually benefit from the sale of the structured deposits. All right. It's not for retail customers. Right. So whenever a financial institution develops some sophisticated product, you must identify the target customer. Right? Some products cannot be applied across all customers, right? Especially those complex structured products. All right. So similarly, for life insurance policy, in particular the investment-linked policy. All right, if the underlying asset is a complex product, right, then more product due diligence must be done in relation to the features of that product and also the customer segment, right? So there's a lot of details there which I will need you to go through on your own, all right, all the way from 5.31 to 5.33 in terms of performing product due diligence, all right? All right, so in particular, you look at 5.33, there is a guideline for you to make sure that a financial institution should involve legal, compliance and operation personnel, as well as financial advisory and frontline supervisory staff, all right, to be familiar with the needs and profile of its customers. All right, so developing a product is not a simple thing. It needs to be properly done. All right, so involving legal, compliance, and operational personnel, well, as well as the frontline people who are selling the products. All right, look at illustration 10.2a. Right. Right, I just read to you that particular one. A financial institution has recently been offered distribution rights for a complex investment product. All right, this brings to mind your subprime, the Lehman Brothers debacle. All right, which is recommended by product provider as suitable for distribution for retail customers. Upon evaluation of the product's complexity and risk, the financial institution assessed that the product may not be easily understood by its target customer segments, which are retail customers. The financial institution decided not to take up the distribution right for that product. Right? That's an illustration for you, and the comment is given there below. All right. Okay. Then marketing to target customer groups. Even when you have selected the target customer segment in relation to a product, all right, you need to make sure the financial institution is required to make sure that this product, even for the selected customer, target customer, right, must meet the financial objectives, financial needs, and financial literacy of the target customer segment, right? So that's under 5.34 to all the way to 5.38, all right, in terms of marketing to target customer requirements, in particular, complex investment products. So the features of risk and reward must be clearly explained, even to this selected target customer segment. All right. Of course, you need to ensure that the people giving advice and making recommendations to these products are well trained. All right, and making sure that the products are suitable even for your selected customer segment. Okay. So you look at illustration 10.2b. It gives you an illustration there in terms of marketing to target customer segment. Okay, and then B4 talks about the key issues for self-assessment. Right, so the board and the senior management must examine themselves. All right, must assess themselves whether this particular outcome too has been followed and met with. Right, so you look at 5.440. How does the financial institution ensure that its products and services are only marketed to customer segments for which they are suitable? Right? 5.41 talks about what controls has the financial institution put in place to identify the customer profiles and circumstances within the target customer segment for which the investment product is not suitable. Okay? So there you have it in terms of fair dealing outcome 2. Now, fair dealing outcome 3 is exactly the same in terms of the requirements, or in terms of the guidelines that are given to you under this particular set of guidelines. All right, very quickly, look at fair dealing outcome 3. Financial institutions have competent representatives who provide customers with quality advice and appropriate recommendations. Now again, the rationale is set out as C1, ensuring competency is C2, all right, and the illustration is illustration 10.3a, all right, and so on, right? All right, C3, the heading is providing quality advice and appropriate recommendations from 5.48 all the way down to 5.58, right? There's a long list there. So you need time to plow through this in order to understand this fair dealing outcome. Now you turn the page in your Kindle, you'll look at fair dealing outcome 4. Customers receive clear, relevant, and timely information to make informed financial decisions, right? And then the rationale and so forth are all set out there. From 5.59 under the D1 rationale, D2 providing clear information, and all the way to 5.74, right? Again, there's a lot of materials there, a lot of information there, quite self-explanatory. And then lastly, you look at paragraph E, right? Fair dealing outcome 5. Financial institutions handle customer complaints in independent, effective, and prompt manner. All right, again, similar kind of guidelines are given. E1 rationale. All right, E2 handling complaints independently and effectively. All right, E3 resolving complaints promptly. Then E4 key issues for self-assessment. All right, so that covers the particular guideline in terms of the fair dealing outcomes. All right, the 5 fair dealing outcomes relating to a financial institution in Singapore.